The Pharmacy on Today, sponsored by Boots.
Yeah. Now the focus on male health and any stigma that may have been felt around men seeking help when they feel worse for wear has moved forward massively in recent times.
But while progress has been made, there's certainly a way to go yet. We have Heather Feeney from Boots with us here to discuss men's health today. Heather, always great to have you.
Thank you very much.
Now, as Maura said there, I suppose, look, women are always good at talking about their problems, health problems. How are we doing these days? How are the men doing?
We're getting there. So there have been a couple of changes in recent years, things like Men's Health Week, which comes after Father's Day every year, and websites like menshealth.ie, which is a HSE-sponsored website. Those things have really brought forward things, but it is still important to note that a man's life expectancy is still 4 years below a woman, and there are certain diseases where there is a higher prevalence amongst the male population. So there is a bit of disparity that we need to address still. The World Health Organization actually would list a couple of things as to why men's health is a little bit behind women. So they'd reference things like, you know, higher disease states like with heart disease and things like that, certain lifestyle factors, and as well a real underutilisation of health services. So we are getting there, but progress to be made certainly.
I wonder why, though. Would you be less kind of likely to go to the doctor than, say, Rita?
No, and
you're not. Okay.
Funnily enough, even two people I know fairly well would have said to me the last year that they would have been feeling low. And I wouldn't have heard that from anyone, really, in a normal, casual conversation. So I think things have changed there. I know lots of people, when it comes to men, that they said that they don't talk. I think you only really need to talk to either two people, either the pharmacist or your doctor. And there's a big emphasis on that, telling other people. But I do think that men are getting good at taking that step to the doctor or to the pharmacist.
Yeah, and maybe the pharmacist wouldn't be as kind of, you know, the way if you're kind of nervous of taking the first step, now that you've got the rooms and everything in your pharmacies, that you can actually do that. But let's talk about stuff like heart disease. Why is it more prevalent, or do we know?
So there's a couple of reasons. So I think if we're looking at what heart disease is, it actually embodies an awful lot of conditions that people mightn't be aware of. So I know often talking to patients, they mightn't actually feel they have heart disease, but it is things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So there's a number of conditions involved. I suppose what men can do around heart disease, things like visiting the GP. So that's really the most important check. It's kind of having that full service, you know, detecting issues early. I think despite the fact that there is a lot more conversation going on around men's health, statistically, a man is twice less likely than a woman to have visited their doctor within the last 12 months.
Because
that's interesting.
Because I think you're programmed to go, but we are programming ourselves. Like I go every year to get my bloods done. And when I was getting my bloods done a few weeks ago, the doctor took my blood pressure. So the blood pressure was high, and then it was low, and then it was high. So I have to wear one of those heart monitors now.
Yeah, well, that's not unusual.
For a whole day. But it's not unusual.
It's a good thing.
But then again, like hopefully it'll all come back. And it's all about just being satisfied in your own mind, being happy in your own mind. That
because there's
I
no
got
point
the
at
blood
home stressing.
done.
You're
That's
right.
the thing. There's no point in worrying about things that may never ever happen. But as you say, if there is a problem, then
there is,
Heather, you know, say you're going to come to it at a very early stage.
And that's it. It's all about early detection. So as with anything, there's no point in addressing it when it's a spiralling issue down the line, when you're actually feeling really unwell. But if you're going for those yearly checkups, it's far more likely you're going to detect an issue at an early stage and be able to address it with things like your lifestyle and, you know, maybe lesser forms of treatment. So really important to be getting into your doctor.
Other issues when it comes to men that are more prevalent to men are hair loss. Of course, nothing as serious.
That early, Maura.
Nothing as serious. Well, that is, I suppose, first of all, it is mostly a male problem, isn't it, still?
Yeah, like it is associated with women as well, but it's far more prevalent in men. And what we kind of would know is that male pattern baldness, so genetic baldness, which can be a really traumatic thing for people.
Is it maternal rather than, because I was reading something recently that they think it's actually maternal.
Yeah, it is, but it's certainly something where, you know, you see it familiarly moving along, and I know even from, you know, dealing with patients or friends and stuff, they can be really conscious that if they have baldness within the family, that it is something that they need to address now. So really important, if you're actually losing your hair, if you're concerned about it, get into your pharmacist, get into your GP. Because
you've brought some things.
I have, yeah. So Regain there, that's a foam. So it's a topically applied foam to the scalp, which actually prevents hair loss to an extent, and also
it's like mousse. Like putting mousse into your hair every day.
What's in it? Is it? I've heard a lot about caffeine in these things. Is that caffeine?
There's not caffeine in this one. This one is actually a drug called minoxidil, which was once used for blood pressure orally, but actually it was found that a side effect of it was that it promoted hair growth. So now it's applied topically. It doesn't affect the blood pressure, but actually...
Because you can use those caffeine shampoos, but there's also these other caffeine things that I use occasionally myself.
Do you use that?
I used that before. I thought it was very, very good.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was good as well, but I started using the shampoo as well. And all it does, like you're not going to be like one of the Jackson 5.
Does it plump the hair up.
It does, like, yeah, it kind of
That's
thickens it out a small bit. But again, I know people say who'd have lost their hair in their 30s, and it has affected them so much.
Yeah. So deeply.
So much, like, and they don't talk about it, like. So again, we're kind of starting the conversation here.
It is, but also some like supplements that you've got Viviscal, which is an Irish, certainly started in Ireland.
Yeah. Absolutely, and again, that's just a balance of different things. Some herbal therapies like horsetail, and then things like proteins, which help to just kind of, I suppose, improve the quality of the hair that you have, and also promote regrowth. So.
Okay. So that's a good one.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the next one now. People might be a small bit nervous going into a pharmacy looking for Viagra.
Yeah, and what we've seen is with kind of an ageing population in the community, a lot of things are moving to the fore and they're moving to the community. So that is sildenafil. So it's a drug that's recently become available over the counter for erectile dysfunction. So it's just a short consultation with the pharmacist, and they will of course recommend that you visit your doctor within 6 months of initiating, just to check if there's any underlying cause. But that's now available in pharmacy as well.
I'd imagine now there are men watching this and they may have that problem, and it's very, very serious to them. So they go into a pharmacist, like, you're not going to have the conversation over the counter. What you do, you go in and say, can I speak to somebody privately?
Absolutely. We can take you into our consultation room, we can speak privately, and what I always say to patients in the pharmacy is, while someone might feel embarrassed, actually on the end of the healthcare professional, you know, it's probably the 4th or 5th time you're having the same conversation that day. So really the stigma is on one end, but we're more than happy to talk about any issue.
That's actually a very important point to stress there, is that, look, this is a professional person. You're not the first person they've ever dealt with on this.
Even though you may think you are, that's the problem. Like,
but it's interesting. When was that Viagra? Is it now available recently, or is
really recently over the counter? So available, in stores and online. After a consultation with the pharmacist, because obviously with things
you
moving
have to,
remote,
because obviously you can't take it if you've got certain underlying issues,
certain underlying conditions. So things like certain types of heart disease, it might be contraindicated, or depending on the medicines you're taking. But the pharmacist will make sure it's appropriate.
And
for you.
vitamins as well, always very, very important for all-round health.
We always come back to vitamins. So generally we should get all the vitamins we need to live a healthy life through our nutritious diet. But certainly things like Centrum, which are specifically kind of optimised for men, they have a special balance of things like your iron and B2, B12 for your energy levels, and obviously all your immunity vitamins, which are so important right now. Those are optimised specifically for men. So it's a good balance, and it's just a good way to kind of make sure you're getting all the nutrients you need.
Heather, that's great.
Heather.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you with us in studio as well.
Yeah,
so rare.
On Skype.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thanks a lot.
We'll put all that information up on our Facebook page as well. And if you have any health concerns at all, do contact your pharmacist or GP.
The Pharmacy on Today. Sponsored by Boots.